How many people has this on today? How y'all doing? Can you see me? Well, maybe the goal is that you don't see me. Like I'm trying to keep myself from being seen. This is the day, right? That people typically are celebrating putting on the mask. So I would just prefer to keep this mask on that I have. And so I hope that doesn't bother anybody. I just really would prefer to talk to you like this. Just for today, just for today, in light of the season and what's happening on today. Everybody else has one on, so I guess I have one on too. Now, this is something that has been used, and not only in a lot of ways, but in cases. And so tonight we're going to talk about why people may put on the mask. And in this case, this is a natural mask that I have. But what about the other kind of mask that, I'm going to cover this on. Yeah, make sure it's covered up. Okay. So, welcome you all to another Drama is Life, where we talk about mental and social topics across the lifespan. So past, what's going on in the present, and what can happen in the future if we don't make any changes. And so for those who may not know me or ever been to our lives before, hello, my name is Theresa White. I am the CEO and founder of End Time Creative Counseling Services. We are located in Terre Haute, Indiana. And I'm a licensed mental health counselor, registered drama therapist, and I am also an addiction counselor. I've been doing therapy for 14 years. So my specialties are depression, anxiety, trauma, and grief. And so we've been talking this month about a particular topic because it is warranted to talk about. So hello for all you who are joining. I hope that I'm trying to keep myself. Okay. There we go. So, this is a time that people are, wearing this and keeping this on, this mask on. But people wear masks for many reasons. And we talking about necessarily not just the physical mask, but also makeup tonight and how makeup is used. Because we've been talking all month about Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And so I'm going to give you some reasons. What are some reasons that you are joining in? Please feel free to comment in the chat and let me know. What are some reasons that people may wear makeup? One of the things that to heighten up their beauty, right? To maybe make themselves look pretty, or to their own liking or to the liking of somebody else. And I remember as a teenager that I would, wasn't very confident in my looks. And so sometimes I wanted to put something on that makes me look, cover up and do some other things. And so there's some other things that people do with makeup, right? People put makeup on because they want to look younger. You see some of our people in Hollywood, it's really great to, as they call it, the anti-aging. We can cover up wrinkles and people don't have to see your age lines and things like that, right? For people who have acne or things like that, again, it covers up, right, exactly, blemishes, and it hides blemishes, and so does this, right? But this, as we've been talking about masks and or talking about masks tonight, This can also hide blemishes, right? Like you can't see nothing on my face if I got a whole mask on. So, okay, let me make sure I got that together. But yeah, blemishes. But there's also other things that people try to hide. And it's not always because they look old, have lines and, lines here and lines there. And maybe this ain't the color that I want it to be. But it's very, makeup is a saver in a lot of cases because, yes, it makes you look beautiful and pretty, depending on what you put on and how you use it, if you know how to use it properly, that it may do just that, right? Like it covers up just like this mask does, right? But what happens when there's other things you're trying to cover up or um, people are not just trying to cover up wrinkles. People are not just trying to cover up. Trying to make sure I got my. People are not just trying to cover up wrinkles, right? People are not always trying to cover up acne or just trying to look pretty. And good evening to all those who are joining on tonight. Thank you for joining our live. I hope you learned some information and take something with you. Please like, share, and subscribe. But there are other things. And so um, sometimes I'm trying to cover up someone else's issues, not my own, right? I ain't trying to cover up my own. I'm trying to hide the issue for somebody else. And so if you can see some things, just don't act like you don't see it, so just act like you don't see it. And I know we talked about last week, and we've been talking all week in last session or last Drama is Life podcast. We talked about men being victims of domestic violence and why they probably, or why most likely they don't report and why it's underreported for men. So I just want to review a few of those things because it's going to tie into the topic on tonight about makeup not being only for Halloween. So as we talked about for men, right? Men, a lot of times, and I won't say it's just for men, but it's highly for men, is that they don't or they avoid getting help for the stigmatization. The same way we talk about why people don't go to therapy, why people don't ask for help. Because I want to appear strong. I want to appear like I have it all together. I just want you to not really see the issues that really are happening behind this mask. I want everybody to see me smiling all the time. And so it's easy to paint. I can paint a smile on here and it ain't going to never leave. It's hard to keep this up because sometimes this gets tired. I get tired. So the stigmatization is a strong reason why people, and particularly when it comes to domestic violence, don't ask for help. A lot of times there is a fear of seeking help will result in further negative repercussions, not only from society, from family, but from the abuser. And especially we talked about with the power and control that happens within a destructive or abusive relationship, a physically violent relationship, that isolation is typically what is used in a power and control. I'm going to isolate you. I don't want you to be around anybody. And so I'm just, keeping it away. And so then if I reach out for help and I don't have anybody else because I've isolated my partner has isolated me and I reach out for help and they find out, then what? Because I don't have anybody. Where else am I going to go? And so a lot of times the stigmatization happens from there. But what happens when you have, blemishes that are, not from, I don't know if you can see that or not, that are not from physical abuse from somebody else, but sometimes you have abuse from yourself. But, I don't want y'all to see that. So makeup, and so I hope some of the parents, are aware, let me make sure I can make sure I got the right color and make sure and again, I'm putting on this concealer. I want you to make sure that you put this on because I don't want nobody to see that I've been hurting myself. And sometimes, you got people who, again, this is the season to glorify And I would use the word glorify because it's the season and the day that people can put it on and it looks natural. So I just cover this up and I'm gonna keep covering it up until you can't see. And I would keep putting on makeup. I'm gonna keep on putting this makeup. And makeup is not only for your face, right? As you can see. And I say that because not only domestic violence toward a partner, but what if the violence is toward myself and I can't let nobody see that? So makeup, and now it's you can't see that. Okay, good, good, good. And I'm just make sure you can't see this. I'll cover this up. Ooh, let me cover this up. Don't ask no questions about what's happening. I don't want you to ask. Nothing's happening, right? And so we love to doll it up. Ooh, mm, love to doll it up. Let me make sure. Maybe I didn't put enough lipstick on it. So you would think the redness is from my lipstick. I'm gonna try to make my lips look a little bigger. So okay. Ooh, okay. Be careful. Be careful. And this is not by any means. I'm not making fun at all. I'm showing you the truth about everybody's not putting makeup on because it's to make them look pretty. Some of them is trying to make themselves look normal. I don't want you to see my scars or see the pain that maybe a partner inflicted on me. Don't want you to ask me any questions. Okay, don't ask me because I don't really want to answer your questions. I don't want to answer, and you don't really want to hear the truth anyway. Because if you hear the truth and you start reprimanding me and why I'm still with this person, and I'm telling you because I don't have nowhere else to go, and I don't have any. They've taken all my money. They've isolated all my family away from me. My family don't talk to me. I don't have any money. So where else am I going to go? It's a lot easier to put this on. Come on, somebody. It's a lot easier to put this on and just buy me a few dollars of makeup and just say, I'll take you. I mean, he was just angry, She was just mad that day. And make sure I can just cover this up with my hair. And if okay. Does that look better? Do I look am I pretty now? Am I pretty again? Am I presentable where you won't ask me any questions? And sometimes, don't get me wrong, everybody's not putting makeup on because they're covering up a blemish, but everybody's not putting it on because they're trying to cover up or cover it up because they're trying to look pretty. But everybody's not putting it on either, um, just to kind of be a doll. Some people are trying to cover up the pain that's happening in their relationship, the pain that's happening within a personal relationship. And I gotta we the same way we can put clothes on. I can put clothes on and I have long sleeves on and you can't see my arms, you can't see my legs. And I say that because I work not only with trauma when it comes to relationships, but I also when we talk about domestic violence and how it doesn't just happen overnight. As we talked about before, when I asked a question about would you allow somebody to walk up to you and just smack you or just punch you? Most people are going to say, no, I wouldn't allow that. Right. And giving a very strong response, absolutely not, I wouldn't allow that. Right. And the people who are in a abusive relationship or have an abusive partner never thought this is where this would lead. Right, because the start is I was loved on, I was wooed, and they were so charismatic. They took me out for great dinners or whatever, however they wooed me. And then they started to maybe compliment. And with the complimenting, make sure that's still okay because I got to make sure they can't see that y'all can see it. Okay. The compliments was, oh, well, that's a really pretty shirt, but I would prefer you wear the red one. I mean, but wear whatever you want to wear. And you like you should, but and again, the language begins to be not selective in the case of this. Like, okay, but it's starting to be intimidating where you can hear the undercurrent that even though I'm really telling you I would prefer, I'm really saying put that on instead of what you have on. Who you trying to look pretty for? And then it's starting to degrade you after they've already isolated. And so when we talk about makeup and we got people who are putting on all kind of costumes today, people are and have all weekend long. There are some people, this is not a costume for them. It's an everyday lifestyle. It's an everyday experience, not lifestyle, but it's an everyday experience. And they're in pain and they're hiding it and they're smiling behind their smile, smile, smiling. And it's a song that says, and this is a, I don't want to say this part of the song, but I'm thinking of smiling in your face all the time. They wish they were you. That I wish I could just have a healthy relationship. I wish that I didn't have to put makeup on just because my partner got mad again last night, or I got a bruise on my arm, and oh, ouch. And we've seen movies, right? You see movies where people are, and we can get really glamorous, like depending on how glam or how deep or intense the abuse is, or the injury is. Makeup is so glamorous nowadays. You can put on anything and nobody would think twice. Oh, Theresa, you look so pretty. Thank you. Thank you. Because what I'm going to say thank you to is thank you for not seeing. Thank you for not noticing. Thank you for not having me answer any questions about my partner and my relationship. So that means I did a good job covering this up. Thank you. Thank you for recognizing that. And again, notice when we talk about, for people who are what really makeup people, and I speak for, I'm not really, and I don't have anything against makeup. My skin doesn't always like it. But for someone who wasn't really a makeup person, then all of a sudden they get into this relationship and all of a sudden they are glamorified makeup. I would start at, oh, you wear makeup now. What made you change? Especially if somebody who was really strongly against using it. Like, well, no, I don't, that's not really my thing. Then they get with this certain partner and all of a sudden you don't see them without makeup on. And they can do it because again, they're trying to look nice for their partner. That can be definitely the case. But I would encourage you as a loved one, as a friend, whoever may be in that person's life, to ask the questions. I'm huge, and I'm always told by some of the people that I work with that I'm the question therapist, and I say that because I ask the questions that get you to the answers that you need to find. When you're like, I don't really know what's going on in my emotions, I ask the questions. I'm not afraid to ask you the question that you're afraid to ask yourself. And so, as a person of support or a loved one, please don't be afraid to ask the question. Now, I'm not saying somebody's gonna come out and say, yes, my partner hit me last night and I covered it up with makeup. Most likely you're not gonna get that kind of response depending on how close you are or what kind of bond you have with that person. But I need you to pay attention to behavioral changes of people. Again, if I only think I ever wear is long sleeve shirts and it's hot outside. And again, I know especially because I work with young people, I work with adolescents, that there are times that, we can be like, okay, you wearing a sweatshirt in the 80, 90 degree weather and kind of laugh about it. But I want you to be aware that not every person who has on long sleeves in hot weather it's the trend. No, it's the trend that I'm trying to cover. I don't want you to see my arms. I don't want you to see. Again, it's the stigma. I don't want you to ask the questions because I don't. The reason for the issue that I don't want for you to ask the questions, the reason why I don't want you to ask, because I don't want to give you the answer. I don't want to be put in a place that I have to tell you a lie, but I'm really screaming for you to dig deeper. Please don't. I'm wanting help. Please notice. And I say that because anytime as a person, we usually are doing things within our families or interactions with people. Everything most people do is to be noticed. And nothing's wrong with that. That's not a bad thing. We all need attention in some capacity because that's healthy. We're social beings. But a lot of times people are like, I'm needing you to notice. And so when I'm smiling, I kind of got to, I need you to notice that the smile is not real. I need you to notice that I'm smiling, but I'm really gritting my teeth behind it, wanting you to ask the question maybe just one more time. Maybe you to dig a little deeper than you just said, oh, okay, well, you look pretty today, Theresa. Okay, thanks. When my eyes are looking down, kind of like I don't want to look, well, Theresa, hey, hey, hey. And again, we've seen movies where they've, shown it in such a dramatic way. And again, that may be the case for some people, and some people it's not. Some people you would look and say, I would have never thought that he was being abusive to her, or she was being abusive to him. As we've talked about last week with regards to men being victims. Men, oh, absolutely. Makeup, conceal, absolutely. And even though we talk, men can be made fun of for using makeup, and people talk about masculinity, and there are some men who are using makeup not because it's a trend, because they're covering up what their partner has done, covering up the pain, covering up the fact that they have been hit, punched, abused again. And so I say that because I need you to hear that makeup again. Halloween is happening. I get that people are dressed up and masked up. But I want you to, some people really enjoyed the fact that COVID, that everybody walked around with a mask on, because then nobody asked questions when you had a mask on. When nobody's asking any questions, I don't have to worry about it, because now we're all covering it up. Now we're all you can see is my eye. And then sometimes I'm gonna cover that up too, right? This is always covered up, and hopefully the wind don't blow too bad. Now again, sometimes it's kind of like when we say if the makeup don't work, then I just ain't gonna come outside for a week or two. I'm not gonna answer the phone. I'm not gonna come around nobody. And you're like, why, Teresa? Where you been? I ain't seen you in a few. Oh, just wasn't feeling well. No, it wasn't, because my body was hurting, my face was hurting. And so anyone who is a victim in a domestic violence relationship, and again, and I said it before, it's not just adults. We have teenagers who are in domestic violence or in toxic and abusive relationships where their partner is physically abusive as a teenager. And I've seen it. And again, that's not a laugh. It's more like the things that I see. I don't, not that I don't surprise me anymore, but it's really like it's getting to the point. That's why I'm so passionate about educating the community, because you can see things that I will never see. People will never walk in my doors, but they are walking past you every day. They're in your house. They're your friends. They're your coworkers, and they need you to reach out and ask the question. So when you say, okay, if I ask the question and they say, yes, please help me, I don't know what to do, so and so, and they kind of like, ha ha ha, he crazy. Ha ha, she's crazy. And they laugh that off. Oh, that's just so and so. That's just them. They constantly taking their partner out of the room because they are going off again. Those are serious red flags for you as a loved one, as a coworker, or whoever that you may be to that person, to reach out for support and for help. And so I said I was going to give you some resources on tonight. So I want to give you some of these resources. And I'm just and again, I'm going to give you ones for Indiana, but I'm going to give you a national website as well, because I think it's really important that you have those for anybody that needs them. So for those who are in this area, in the, what do you call it? What is this area? In the Indiana, I keep want to say Terre Haute area, but I'm pulling up my websites. So you guys just give me one moment as there's CODA. And so I am so glad that Council on Domestic Abuse is available. And I'm saying this, I'm gonna give you the 800 numbers, but you can call these agencies, and even if you're not in Terre Haute, they will direct you to who your area is. And so again, you may not be the person. You may just say, I'm trying to get help for my friend, I'm trying to get help for my aunt, my uncle, my cousin, my whoever. And I want to know, what can I do to help? These are numbers you need to have in your phone. And maybe you can, kind of what we call overshadow. You ain't got necessarily put CODA or that kind of thing. You can just put, a number that you would know this is the number for, to give you a clue to what it is. But the emergency hotline for Council on Domestic Abuse is 800-566-2632. And the local number for those who are in the Terre Haute area, 812-234-3441. They house people who, and particularly women and children who have been victims of domestic violence. I'm going to give you another number to the Bethany House. Again, these are housing places where you say, "Well, I don't have nowhere else to go." They've isolated me. I don't have any friends. I don't have any family. I'm going to give you some numbers of people that can help you, and they would not tell your partner where you are. They keep it very. They don't tell who's there. So if you try to call and say, "Hey, it's Theresa. I heard Theresa signed in to coach." No, we're not telling you anybody that's in here. So for the same reason why we're confident or have confidentiality, my words tonight, you guys, privacy and confidentiality in your medical um, dealings with mental health or medical. They also make sure that they are keeping it private when you're there to get help. Bethany House is 812-232-4978. Again, please share this video with someone else. And for more resources. And so if you're like, I don't know, that number, I'm going to give you the website for finding domestic violence shelters for men, women, children, etc. And it's called domesticshelters.org. And I'm going to put this also in the comments so you'll be able to see it too, but it's www.domesticshelters.org /help/IN, like Indiana, IN. And so that would give you anyone in Indiana. If you're not in Indiana, it can still direct you. They can let you know who is in your area. And so I want to really stress to please ask the questions. Please dig deeper. Please reach out. And one thing that I will say is to let somebody know, because they may not, again, your loved ones or your friends or whoever they may be, may not say to you outright, yes, this is what's happening. But it's okay for you to say, I am here as a resource and I'm not going to leave, not going to leave you alone with no friends, with nobody to contact if you need help. So again, it's important that we recognize that not only do adults experience domestic violence, and don't laugh off if your teenager or their friend or whoever, you got some suspicions about a partner that gets a little too jealous too fast, that gets too jealous and gets jealous really fast, and gets angry at things that um, at looks, at who they're talking to, gets angry about them having too many friends or going with their friends and not going with them. Those are red flags for you as a loved one, as a friend, as a helper to ask the questions about that relationship. And some people may not recognize, especially, and I say that for our younger ones, people don't always recognize that this is a toxic or domestic disturbance or situation happening in their relationship. No, again, they'll just laugh it off or invalidate or excuse it. Well, no, that's not that, they're just jealous. I know that's just them. Or just don't want me to look at no other man or no other woman. They just love me. As we talked about in the beginning of the month, when we used to, make jokes or glorify the fact that a boy liking you, if he was punching you or pushing you or picking at you, he's like, why does he keep doing this, mama, daddy? Oh, he just likes you. Ha ha ha. And again, it seemed like it was innocent. But again, that's not okay. That's not a funny matter. No one should be expressing their love. That's not love. To punch me, pinch me, kick me, hit me, and then say I love you. And I will tell you how the cycle looks really quick. I know we have about 2 more minutes. The cycle is, you kind of got this, well, again, I'm gonna butter you up, where things are looking really nice. And it's just kind of like the wheel. So it starts up with this, the climax, where things are building, and you can feel the tension building before there is, excuse me, an eruption of abuse, of physical violence. And this is for those who are harming themselves and those who are harming their partners. Or in some cases, we got some children who are abusive to parents. And that may sound like, what? I would never. And I'm telling you the truth. And you see it in movies, but it's the truth. There are some children who are physically abusive to parents and grandparents. Because now in this age, We have a lot of grandparents who are taking care of their grandchildren who are the guardians. So a lot of grandparents are not as strong as their daughters or their sons. And so they are victims of domestic violence from their own grandchildren, from their own children. And so, again, it's important to be able to recognize and to know when things look off, go with that and inquire. Offer yourself as a support for that person if you can, if you're able to do that, or reach out to a support to find out what your options are for that individual. So the client, I will tell you going back to the cycle. So we have the climax of things are starting to climb and tension is building, and then there's an eruption of abuse. And then at the eruption of abuse, whether that's a punch hit, whatever it may be, physical violence, then all of a sudden it seems like it's like a calm after the storm. And it's calm, it's calm, it's calm, and then they come back and for maybe that next day, then it's a gift given. Oh, I'm sorry, Theresa. I'm really, I get angry sometimes. You just know how I get when and then sometimes I try to put the blame on you when don't call me when you're supposed to. You know how angry I get. And then give you a gift. And somebody can be flowers, expensive gifts, gives you gifts to try to patronize or pacify, to kind of soothe. It's okay. It's not. And then you're taking a gift. Well, see how they do love me. And the other person who is in that relationship is, well, they do love me. And so then that, and it's building, and it just builds right back up. And sometimes people who are who are the victims can feel the tension of like it's about to erupt. They've been in it so long, they recognize the pattern, and they know when their partner's about to erupt. It's been 2 weeks since they've hit me, or that's a really long time. They're going to get angry soon. So sometimes the person who is the victim will purposely and antagonize to push the cycle faster, to get them a little bit where they feel like they have a little bit more control than just sitting and waiting, which again is not okay for either person. So we say that because a lot of people, every family member is affected by domestic violence, which is why it's called domestic. It's in the home. So children, parents, grandparents, if you're in the home and you're having a witness of that, some people have even watching tonight, maybe in their past have witnessed domestic violence in your family. And maybe you didn't know, you were scared, didn't know what to do. Most children will go hide in a room, go hide in, under a bed, hide somewhere, because they don't want to hear, they don't want to see it, nor should they have to. But again, that's why it's important for us to reach out and get the help, because a lot of people, as I talked about on our last week's podcast with a gentleman, and I think the woman's name was Christian, or his name was Christian, I'm sorry, was murdered by his girlfriend. And nobody would have believed that she was abusive because she was pretty and had a nice name in the social media. And the whole time she was abusive to her boyfriend, who was bigger than her. And people thought, well, no, there's no way. You're big. She's small. Size does not matter. In this case, size does not matter. It don't matter if they're short, tall, bigger. Someone who's abusive can be abusive at every level of physical stature. Women, men, it doesn't make a difference what your gender is. You can be physically violent to your partner. And so it's important that if you recognize those signs, that you get the help to those who need it. I want to make sure I don't have any questions that I'm missing. Thank you for all who are joining. Please, again, share. So yes, absolutely. It happens in majority of families. It's silent domestic violence. Absolutely. Violence in any home a lot of times is silent, because again, the scare or the fear that people have is, if I tell, especially for a child, if I tell, and most likely the abuser will put the guilt on the person. If you tell, they're gonna mess up our family and it's gonna be all your fault. The same way they put the blame on the person who's been abused. Well, if you wouldn't have wore the dress I told you not to wear, if you would have done your hair like I wanted to, if you would have left like I told you to, as if you're the person to blame for their violence, for their actions. And that's not the case. For their abuse, not at all. Not at all. So hopefully we can get, and again, as counselors, we are definitely here in the area to help. But I will say, when it comes to getting counseling, you want to go to a counselor that has training with working with those who have been victims in a domestic violence um, situation. You don't want to just, it's because it's very, there's just training you want to make sure that the people have. Because there's reasons, and I won't get into that on here, but we do things very differently than how we would treat a different case. As I was saying, with some of these shelters who will not give you information, right? It's reasons for that, because people call, hey, my love, no, you're not coming to get them, take them back home. So now, of course, with our minors, those who are under the age of 18, it can be reported. Those who are over 18, it's up to that person who's the adult to report it if they want to report. But when it comes to minors, then it's, if you're a mandated reporter like myself, I'm a mandated reporter because I'm in healthcare, I'm in a therapist, then that has to be reported that somebody is being violent to them so that help can get to them. The purpose is for help to get to the family, help to get to the person, the loved one, the person who's being abused, and also those who are being abusive. So if you have any questions, or you want to ask questions that are not public, or you want to send us a, what they call a DM, please do so. We'd be happy to ask or answer any of your questions. I am always going back to look at questions afterward, so please make sure that you ask those if you have those, and feel free to reach out to me if you have further questions. And please keep an eye out. Literally, keep an eye out, because everybody's not wearing makeup because it's the holiday. And even after the holiday, they still may be wearing makeup. So keep your eyes open and make sure that you ask the right questions and offer services or offer your support to that loved one. Hope you learned something to know. Hope you learned something on tonight. Um, and if you have any other questions, you can reach out to us. Our website, if you want more information about End Time Creative Counseling Services or drama therapy, it's INTIMECCS.com, endtimeccs.com. We will be happy to talk to you about our services or drama therapy. Have a great night, you all. See you next time. Bye bye.